The language of power. Let's be real and cut through the noise. Most men are their own worst enemies when it comes to dating. They literally talk themselves out of attraction before the first drink is even finished. They walk into a room and start performing like they're auditioning for a role, over explaining their life story, chasing validation with every sentence, and sweating through their shirt trying to impress. Here is the cold, hard truth. Women have a built in radar for desperation, and they can smell it from a mile away. The moment you start trying too hard, you've already lost. You've signaled that you believe she is the prize, and you are just a contestant hoping for a participation trophy. Attraction isn't a math equation where you add up your bank account balance, the make of your car, and your height to get a result. It doesn't work like that. Attraction is about frame. It's about the unshakable reality you carry within yourself. If your frame is weak, you'll constantly be reacting to her. If your frame is strong, she will naturally want to enter your world. If you want to be the man who commands the room without saying a single word, you have to realize that words are not just tools for exchanging data. They aren't just for telling her where you went to college or what you do for a living. Words are emotional triggers. They are the keys to the lock of human psychology. When you speak, you shouldn't be looking for her approval. You should be setting the tone of the entire interaction. Most men are playing checkers, worried about the next move, while the man with a power frame is playing chess, controlling the entire board. It's time to stop being just another guy she might text back and start being the high value priority she's afraid to lose. By mastering a few specific shifts in how you communicate, you stop being an option she considers and start being the man who dictates the terms of the engagement. 1. You're not as complicated as you think. Most guys make the fatal mistake of putting a woman on a pedestal the second they find her attractive. They start treating her like a puzzle they aren't smart enough to solve, calling her deep, complex, or mysterious just to suck up to her ego. Let's be honest, that's predictable, it's safe, and it's incredibly boring. When you treat her like an enigma, you're basically telling her that you're beneath her, looking up and trying to figure her out. That is a position of weakness. However, when you calmly look her in the eye and tell her she's not that complicated, you instantly flip the power dynamic. You are doing two very specific things. First, you're showing her that you aren't intimidated by her walls or the emotional games she might play to keep men at a distance. Second, you are directly challenging her ego. You're telling her that you see right through the act, and that makes you infinitely more interesting than the 50 other guys who are currently telling her how unique she is. To use this effectively, you have to time it perfectly. When she's acting difficult, being intentionally vague, or trying to play the you could never understand me card, don't lean in and try harder. Instead, do the opposite. Lean back, give her a slight, knowing smile, and say, "You're not as complicated as you think. You just like the mystery." Say it with a tone of voice that suggests you've seen this 1,000 times before. You aren't being mean, you're being observant. This statement hits her logic and her emotions at the same time. It creates an immediate spark of curiosity because she's wondering, wait, what does he see that I don't? It forces her to stop playing the mystery game and start actually engaging with you to prove that she is special. Suddenly, she's the one trying to explain herself to you. 2. I don't chase, I attract. Chasing is a behavior reserved for the insecure and the desperate. Think about it. In nature, the predator doesn't beg the prey to stay. The prize doesn't run after the winner. When you double text a woman who hasn't replied, or when you start begging for her time and attention, you are loudly announcing to her and to yourself that your time has zero value. You are saying that you have nothing better to do than wait around for a crumb of her interest. This is the fastest way to kill attraction. On the flip side, the phrase, "I don't chase, I attract," is a declaration of high self worth. It's a standard you set for your life. It tells her that you are the prize and that your life is a moving train that is already heading towards success, adventure, and fulfillment. She is welcome to get on board, but the train isn't stopping or changing tracks just because she's playing hard to get. The execution of this mindset is everything. If she's playing hot and cold, replying late, being flaky with plans, or acting distant, the average guy panics. He asks, "Is everything okay?" Or "Did I do something wrong?" That is chasing. A man of power does the opposite. He does nothing. He does nothing. He remains unbothered because his value isn't tied to her response. If the topic of dating or effort comes up in conversation, you state your philosophy with calm, absolute certainty. I don't chase, I attract. You either feel the vibe or you don't. Then you stop talking. No follow up, no nervous laughter. You let the silence do the work. This creates a vacuum that she will feel compelled to fill. It shows her that you are a man who has walked away from almost situations before, and you are perfectly fine doing it again. When she realizes you aren't going to hunt her down, she starts to wonder if she's the one losing out. 3. I like you, but I don't need you. Neediness is the absolute, undisputed killer of attraction. There is nothing that will make a woman run faster than the feeling that a man's happiness depends entirely on her. When you need someone, you aren't a partner, you're a weight. You're essentially telling her that you have a hole in your life that only she can fill, and that creates an immense, suffocating amount of pressure. Women don't want to be your source of oxygen. They want to be the spark that makes an already roaring fire burn brighter. They want to be wanted by a man who is already complete, already grounded, and already happy with his own life. When you operate from a place of need, you become reactive. You check your phone every 5 minutes, you overthink every text, and you start bending over backwards just to keep her from leaving. That's not love, that's fear. And fear is never attractive. This phrase, "I like you, but I don't need you," is the ultimate declaration of emotional independence. It creates a freedom of choice that is incredibly magnetic because it removes the desperation from the air. You are effectively telling her, I find you fascinating. I enjoy your company, and I'm choosing to spend my time with you. But if you walked out that door today, my world would keep spinning exactly as it was before. This shows a high level of self control and personal standards. It proves that you aren't just looking for any girl to fill a vacancy, you're looking for the right girl to join your mission. Paradoxically, the less you need her to stay, the more she will want to be around you. Why? Because she knows that every moment you spend with her is a genuine choice, not an act of survival. That lack of pressure allows her to relax, be herself, and actually pursue you because she knows she's not responsible for your emotional stability. 4. You're not the only one who gets attention. It is time to stop acting like a woman is doing you a massive favor just by acknowledging your existence. One of the biggest mistakes men make is handing over all their power the moment they talk to a girl they find attractive. They treat her like she's a celebrity and they're just a lucky fan who got a backstage pass. They walk on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing, and they make her the absolute center of their universe within 5 minutes of meeting her. When you treat her like she's your only option, you lose every bit of leverage you ever had. You're signaling that you have no other prospects, no social life, and no value in the eyes of other women. This is a massive red flag. High value women are naturally drawn to men who are desired by others. It's a psychological concept called social proof. Being direct about this isn't about being a jerk or trying to make her jealous in a petty way. It's about radical self awareness and self respect. You have value. Your drive, your vision, your fitness, and your presence are all assets that other people notice. When you internalize the fact that you're not the only one who gets attention, the playing field suddenly becomes level. You aren't sitting in the corner hoping to be picked by her. You are both evaluating each other to see if there's a fit. This mindset shift forces her to stop playing games, stop being flaky, and start showing up for real. When a woman realizes she is dealing with a man who has options and who knows his own worth, she naturally steps up her game. She understands that she can't just treat you like a backup plan because you won't wait around for someone who doesn't see your value. 5. Tell me something real, no filters. Let's be honest, small talk is an absolute waste of breath and a massive bore. Most guys spend their entire dates or conversations stuck in the interview phase, asking the same tired, robotic questions. Where did you grow up? What do you do for work? How many siblings do you have? It's safe, it's polite, and it's completely forgettable. If you want to be the man who stays on her mind long after the night is over, you have to break the pattern. You have to be the one who cuts through the polite surface noise and goes straight for the substance. Most women are used to wearing a mask in public, the polished, Instagram ready version of themselves that is media trained and carefully curated. If you stay on the surface, you're just talking to the mask, not the person. When you look her in the eye and say, "Tell me something real, no filters," you are issuing a challenge that most men are too afraid to give. You're telling her that you aren't interested in the performance. You want the raw, messy, human truth. This phrase is powerful because it shows you have the strength to handle her realness. You aren't looking for a perfect girl. You're looking for a genuine connection. It creates an instant, deep emotional bridge because it gives her permission to be vulnerable and authentic with you. Most people spend their lives starving for someone to actually see them. And by asking for the no filter version of her life, you become unforgettable. You become the man who didn't just want to see her beauty, but wanted to understand her mind. That kind of depth is rare, and in a world of shallow swipes, it is a massive competitive advantage. 6. I decide who gets my time. Time is the only asset you can never buy back. Yet most men treat it like it's worth nothing. They rearrange their entire week because a girl they barely know sent a hey text, or they sit by the phone waiting for a notification like their life is on pause. When you are constantly available, you are screaming to the world that your time is cheap. And here is the reality: people don't value things that are cheap. High value men are intentional, disciplined, and protective of their schedule because they have a mission that matters more than a flirty message. Your time isn't just a slot on a calendar, it is your life force. If you give it away to anyone who offers a hint of validation, you aren't being nice, you're being low value. The real power shift happens when you stop trying to prove you're worth her time and start making her prove she is worth yours. When you say, and more importantly, live the mantra, "I decide who gets my time," you flip the entire dating dynamic. You aren't being arrogant, you're being a steward of your own life. You protect your gym time, your work hours, and your peace of mind with an iron fist. This creates a vacuum of mystery. When you finally do give a woman your attention, it becomes a reward, not a given. It carries weight because she knows you could be doing 100 other productive things, but you chose to spend those minutes with her. That selectivity is what builds genuine respect and attraction because she realizes she's earned a spot in a life that is already going places. 7. You're cute when you're wrong. The yes man is the first one to get sent to the friend zone. There is a common, massive misconception that agreeing with everything a woman says will make her like you more. In reality, it does the exact opposite. It makes her lose respect for you. If you don't have the backbone to disagree with her, she knows you don't have the backbone to lead her or protect her. Women aren't looking for a mirror that reflects their every opinion. They are looking for a man who can stand his ground, hold his own, and challenge them when necessary. A man who agrees with everything is predictable, and predictability is the death of romantic tension. This phrase, "you're cute when you're wrong," is the ultimate play for building intense, playful tension without turning a conversation into a courtroom debate. It allows you to disagree while keeping the vibe light and flirtatious. When she's being stubborn about a movie plot or a petty opinion, you don't get angry or argumentative. That shows you're emotionally reactive. Instead, you give her a slight smirk, lean in, and drop the line. You are holding your frame and staying completely unbothered by her dissent. You're telling her, I don't agree with you, but I'm so confident in myself that your disagreement doesn't frustrate me, it amuses me. This kind of mental and emotional stimulation is addictive. It shows you aren't afraid of a little friction, and in the world of attraction, friction creates heat. 8. Don't worry, I can handle you. We live in an era where many women feel they have to be too much just to see if a man is enough. They will test you with what I call fire, little bursts of attitude, intense opinions, or emotional chaos. Most guys fail these tests immediately. They either fold and become submissive to keep the peace, or they get angry and start a fight. Both reactions are signs of a weak frame. If her mood can dictate your emotions, then she is the one in control, not you. A woman wants to know that she can throw her worst day or her most intense energy at you, and you will remain as solid and unmoving as a mountain. When you calmly look her in the eye and say, Don't worry, I can handle you, you are sending a signal straight to her core. You're telling her that you aren't overwhelmed by her personality or her intensity. You're providing the masculine container that she's been looking for. This creates a profound sense of psychological safety. She realizes she doesn't have to tone it down or hide her complexity because she's finally met a man whose presence is stronger than her turbulence. It's not about control in a negative sense. It's about being unshakable. When she sees that you don't crumble under pressure and that you can lead through the storm with a cool head, she stops testing and starts trusting. That is the moment she truly surrenders to the attraction. 9. I don't impress, I express. Let's get one thing straight. The moment you try to flex your status, your bank account, or your achievements, you have already lost. Most guys operate from a place of deep seated insecurity, believing that they aren't enough just as they are. They think they need to perform, to put on a show, and to sell themselves like a product on a shelf. They drop names, brag about their car, or exaggerate their career success, hoping to buy her interest. But here is the reality: women are experts at reading subtext. When you try too hard to impress, all she hears is, I don't think I'm good enough for you, so please look at these shiny things instead. It's transparent, it's weak, and it kills the vibe instantly. Real confidence doesn't need a spotlight or a megaphone. It is a quiet, internal fire that burns regardless of who is watching. The massive shift happens when you move from a mindset of impression to a mindset of expression. When you focus on expressing your truth rather than trying to win her over, you become dangerously authentic. In a world full of people wearing masks and curated Instagram personalities, a man who is simply unapologetically himself is a rare commodity. You aren't adjusting your opinions to match hers, you aren't hiding your flaws to look perfect, and you aren't performing for applause. You are simply sharing your reality. This is the most alpha move you can make because it shows you don't need her validation to feel valuable. You're telling her, This is who I am, take it or leave it. Ironically, by not trying to be what she wants, you become exactly what she desires: a man who is solid, real, and grounded in his own truth. 10. Be careful, I'm hard to replace. Most men live in a constant, low level state of fear. They are afraid of being ghosted, afraid of being cheated on, and terrified of being replaced by someone better. Because of this fear, they play it safe. They overinvest, they become yes men, and they tolerate disrespect just to keep a woman around. But when you live in fear of losing someone, you have already lost yourself. You need to flip that script and start living in the reality that you are a rare commodity. Think about the work you put in. your discipline, your leadership, your emotional intelligence, and your vision for the future. Men who actually have their act together are not easy to find. When you know your value, you don't have to beg for a seat at the table. You know that the table is better because you're sitting at it. Saying, "Be careful, I'm hard to replace," isn't about being arrogant or making threats. It is a statement of fact delivered with quiet, unshakable strength. When you drop this seed into a conversation, you aren't trying to scare her. You are reminding her of the value you bring. It plants a seed in her mind that walking away from you has a very real cost. She begins to realize that if she loses you, she won't just find another version of you on a dating app the next day. She won't easily find that same combination of masculine presence, drive, and stability. This realization makes her value every second she has with you because she knows you aren't a man who can be easily swapped out. It shifts the burden of keeping the relationship from just you to both of you. She becomes invested in maintaining the connection because she understands the weight of what she has found. Conclusion. At the end of the day, the secret to attraction isn't just about memorizing a list of phrases or having a perfect script. The words are just the vehicle. The energy behind them is the engine. A man who truly knows his worth will always be 1,000 times more attractive than a man who only knows how to please. Being a people pleaser is a strategy for survival, but being a man of value is a strategy for mastery. The most irresistible thing you can ever say is spoken by a man who doesn't need the woman to stay. This isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about having a grounded, masculine presence that says you are the captain of your own ship. When you speak from a place of power, she feels it. When you set boundaries, she respects them. When you lead, she follows. Stop looking for the magic pill and start building the man who doesn't need one. When you become the man that you respect, the rest of the world has no choice but to follow suit. Carry that energy into every room you walk into and watch how the world starts reacting to you on your terms.